of 772 audience. Morning po sa mga kakatune in lang natin sa Facebook Live. Mga bumabati mula sa iba't ibang divisions and lugar mula sa Pilipinas. Ayan. Stay safe po tayo. Ayan, magandang umaga na imbaga bigat. Marhay na aga, maayong buntag. Good morning mga ka-DepEd and partners in the basic education sector. What time is it? Research O'Clock! Welcome to our Research O'Clock live on DepEd Philippines Facebook page. We're also live right now in our DepEd Philippines YouTube channel. Ayan. So before we formally start, we would like to introduce ourselves. Ako po si Lawrence.
And ako naman po si Christy, and we are from the Policy Research and Development Division Planning Service, and we will be your moderators for today's research forum. We also have our Filipino Sign Language interpreters, Sir Billy, Miss Pauline, and Miss Clarissa from the Philippine School for the Deaf, as well as our partners from Public Affairs Service of the Publication Division, who are assisting us with the broadcasting for today's forum. Stay tuned. From kanina pa, no, nakaka-start lang natin. Hanggang 11 po tayo magkakasama for another session of meaningful and discussions and sharings.
Yes, and tama ka dyan, Ma'am Christy, no? Ate Christy, kanina pa tayo inaabangan ng ating mga ka-DepEd, no? Yung mga teacher researchers natin dyan, yung ating mga kasamahan sa kagawaran ng edukasyon para sumubaybay dito sa Research O'Clock. Yan. So inuulit lang po namin ang Research O'Clock ay ang ating Research Dissemination Forum na naglalayon to promote the use of research results and evidence in decision-making, program designing and implementation, plan formulation, and adjustment in the basic education sector. Dito rin po sa Research O'Clock, bagaman tayo po ay virtual, no, or tayo ay naka-live sa Facebook, it also convenes our educators, researchers, program implementers, and policymakers, no, and to discuss education issues and provide valuable inputs for future relevant actions. Yan. At ganun din, ang Research O'Clock natin, it's also an opportunity for policy feedback from our field implementers o yung ating mga teachers, yung ating mga principals, at yung ating mga kasamahan sa mga paaralan. Kaya naman po, maya-maya, pag nag-start na po yung ating presentations po ng mga studies or ng mga research studies, pwede po kayong mag-comment sa ating comment section sa Facebook ng inyong mga tanong or ng inyong mga insights tungkol sa kanila dinidiscuss na findings. Yan. So ang Research O'Clock nga po, matagal na tayo natin ginagawa ito since 2018 pa. At nung last year nga, dahil tayo ay nasa virtual setup na nung last year, nagkaroon tayo ng 6 na virtual sessions na mayroong 12 topics na na-present. At this year nga, no, from August to October, yan, nalalapit na ating 6th episode ang pagtatapos, no, sa October 13. Meron po tayong mga episodes sa Research O'Clock na patungkol po sa implementation ng ating Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan, no? Yan. So kung mapapansin po ninyo, ang ating first 3 episodes ay patungkol po sa conditions of our learners during the distance learning. And ito naman pong episodes 4, 5, and 6, ito naman po ay patungkol sa paano pa po natin mas masusuportahan ang ating mga learners sa panahon ng kanila distance learning. Ayan. At kung na-miss nyo po ang mga previous episodes po natin, huwag po kayong mag-alala dahil siya po ay available pa po sa ating DepEd Philippines Facebook page. So pwede nyo pong puntahan yung doon sa videos, sa mga uploaded videos po natin sa DepEd Philippines Facebook page. Yes, para mapanood nila yung mga previous episodes natin. At the same time, kung kayo po ay nakatutok din sa YouTube, no, or nakababad sa YouTube, pwede rin yung pong balikan ng mga episodes natin sa YouTube. At ngayon nga po, no, Ate Christy, dahil ngayon po ay pinagdiriwang natin ang National Teachers Month. Di ba?
Yes.
National Teachers Month ngayon. Oo. So kaya po ngayon ang ating episode ay patungkol po sa teacher professional development. So ang ating pong mga studies na ipepresent po ngayon ay patungkol sa kanila professional development, yung kanilang experience on paano pa nila i-improve ang kanilang teaching profession, no? And of course, pag na-improve ang kanilang teaching profession, therefore, maaari nilang ma-improve ang kanilang teaching and learning. Di ba, Ma'am Christy?
Tama ka. Tama ka, Lawrence. Kaya naman kanina, napuna mo ba? May nakapin sa ating Mentimeter activity. Kaya kung mapupunan niyo po sa ating mga audience, meron po kaming, in-start po namin yung forum namin. Meron tayong quick activity para sa lahat. At meron kaming tanong po dyan na nakapin. Ano ang inyong bagong karanasan bilang guro sa distance learning? Kaya para sa mga kakapasok pa lang po sa ating panonood, pwede pa rin po kayong sumagot. Pumunta lamang po kayo sa menti.com and ipasok niyo po yung code na 9826627 or pwede nyo rin pong i-scan ang QR code na nakadisplay sa ating mga screens.
Yeah, tama ka dyan, Ma'am Christy. Saka, meron din nakapin sa ating comment section yung link na ito ng Mentimeter. Kaya pwedeng i-click lamang ng ating mga audience yung link na yon, tapos pupunta na sila sa Mentimeter.
Tama, Lawrence. So, siguro, wag na nating patagalin, Lawrence, no? At simulan na rin natin. Pero bago tayo mag-start ng ating mga presentation, we are honored to be welcomed by the Chief of Policy Research and Development Division of the Planning Service, Ms. Mariel C. Bayangos. Good morning, Ma'am Mariel.
Magandang umaga po, Ms. Mariel.
Yes, hello. Good morning, everyone. Hindi yata ako masyadong nakikita. Ayan, sige. Alright, sige. Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. So we are delighted to welcome you all again sa ating pong episode 5 ng Research O'Clock. Ayan. Sige, ayusin lang po natin ng konti. Ayan. Live po kasi tayo, kaya nangyayari po talaga yan kapag ka live. Ayan.
Opo, tama po kayo, Ms. Mariel.
Ayan, sige. So we are happy to welcome you all again sa ating pong Research O'Clock. And sabi nga nila, nasa pang-5 na po tayo. At bago po matapos ang September at habang tayo po ay nagse-celebrate ng Teachers Month, we are happy to host a session for our teachers. So dito po, lalo na po dun sa mga suki po namin sa Research O'Clock, alam po ninyo, we are trying to support the conduct of distance learning ngayong pong panahon ng pandemya, at sinusubukan po natin na suportahan yung iba-ibang aspeto ng pagtuturo po ng ating pagtuturo at pag-aaral po ng mga bata. Mula po dun sa unang episode, nakita po ninyo kung paano po natin sinubukan na magbigay ng input, hindi lamang sa ating mga guro, maging sa ating mga magulang, maging sa ating mga opisyal sa paaralan, kung paano natin susuportahan ang pag-aaral ngayong panahon ng pandemya. And syempre, hindi natin nakakalimutan ang mga guro. Gusto natin na mas malinang ang kanilang kakayahan at maunawaan natin yung mga sitwasyon nila, lalo na po ngayong panahon ng pandemya. Kaya isa po yan sa mga nais namin talagang suportahan. So sa session po na ito, yan po ang pagtutuunan natin ng atensyon. Titignan natin kung paano natin mas mapapagtibay yung paglinang sa mga guro po natin para mas maging mahusay sila sa pagtuturo sa kanilang mga bata. Pero at the same time, nire-recognize po, sinusubukan din po natin i-recognize yung kanilang mga abilidad, yung kanilang mga innate na skills na that they bring in sa kanila pong pagtuturo. Kasi po dapat makita natin yung lakas ng guro, ng mga kaguruan, lalo na po ngayong panahon na napaka-challenging po ng ating situation. Kaya po, yung mga topic na pinaghandaan po namin para ngayong umaga, just to hopefully excite all of you, sa umaga po na ito, tinignan po natin hindi lang po yung cognitive skills po ng mga teachers, but also we are looking at the non-cognitive skills, yung mga inherent na mga skills ng mga guro natin na nakakatulong upang mas maging mahusay sila sa kanilang pagtuturo. And hopefully, ngayong umaga po nito, matuto kayo, magkaroon kayo ng mga bagong insights on how you further improve, lalo na po na kakabukas lang po ng ating taong panuruan, at sana po ito ay maghatid ng mga bagong knowledge and skills po sa inyo. So again, maraming salamat po sa mga nag-antay sa muling pagbubukas ng Research O'Clock, and we hope that you enjoy the rest of the session. Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Anong oras na po?
It's Research O'Clock.
Thank you very much.
Ayan, thank you again, Ms. Mariel, for your message. For this virtual setup of Research O'Clock, we invited select DepEd personnel who have been granted with the birth and who have conducted research on today's topic. So nakakuha tayo mula sa ating mga researchers, nakakuha tayo sa ating mga birth grantees as well as yung mga partner organizations natin, ng mga partner natin. So we have guests or presenters from SDO Lucena City, from SDO Malolos City, and from the University of New South Wales in Sydney, Australia, University of Southeastern Philippines-Davao City, Notre Dame University-Cotabato City, at syempre from the Philippine Department of Education. At kahit na virtual platform tayo, gusto natin maka-interact natin ang ating mga audience, Lawrence. Kaya when raising your questions or sharing your insights, please be reminded on these protocols. Yan, naka-display po, Ask only relevant and direct questions to our presenters and guests. Indicate para po kanino ang inyong mga tanong or comment, and write down your questions at the comment section of this live stream. So pwede po sa chat box. At kung gusto niyo naman pong maging anonymous, pero pwede niyo rin pong ilagay ang inyong mga names, para pwede rin nating i-address na maayos ang inyong mga insights at comments. Meron din po tayo, pwede po kayong mag-post sa ating Padlet link. Display din po yan ng inyong mga questions. Kindly link on the post and or scan the QR code displayed on your screen. Kaya Lawrence, siguro check natin ng konti anong result ng ating Mentimeter activity.
Yes, tama ka dyan.
Kita mo na ba? May pumasok na?
Sige po, tingnan natin. Para sa mga bagong kapapasok lamang po sa ating Facebook Live, pwede niyo pong i-scan itong QR code na ito at ibahagi ano ang inyong bagong karanasan bilang guro sa distance learning. Yan. Sige po. Tingnan po natin kung ano po ang mga lumabas sa ating Mentimeter, the result.
Malaki yung word na challenging, Lawrence.
Oo. Malaki rin yung word na challenging, pero I believe sa challenging na yun sa word na challenging na yun ay mayroong excitement din, no?
May hopeful.
Ayan, may hopeful. Napakaganda nun, no? May excitement din doon, no? Kasi syempre nga naman, di ba, biruin mo, halos isang taon din hindi nakita ng mga teachers yung estudyante nila. So this time, siguro nakaisip sila ng mga paraan na paano pa makakommunicate na lang kanilang mga estudyante, no? Para makita or makausap ang kanilang mga estudyante during this school year, no? Yan. At saka din, Ma'am Ate Christy, doon sa mga pakikipag-usap natin sa ating mga kaguruan, no? I'm sure may mga kaibigan ka at kamag-anak na guro na pag kinakamusta natin sila, sinasabi nila na ginagawa talaga nila yung paraan para makausap ang mga magulang, ang kanilang mga estudyante, yan, sa panahon ng distance learning.
Tama. Napakaraming paraan ng ating mga kaguruan na ginawa, lalo na't nasubok yan, yung kanilang pagiging innovative, lalo sa panahon ng pandemya, no? Siguro, Lawrence, mamaya balikan natin ulit. Napakaraming pumasok Napakaraming pumasok na sagot sa ating message list. At kaya maraming
natin babalikan.
Pwede pa rin Pwede pa silang sumagat, ano? Pero wag
Yes.
na natin excited na ako sa mga presenters natin.
Ako
Lawrence, how
din.
about you? Kaya simulan na natin, ano? Para sa ating unang presenter, meron tayong presentation from Region 3. Our first presenter is a junior high school teacher at Malolos City High School, Santissima Trinidad School City Division of City of Malolos in Region 3, handling technology and livelihood education subject for grade 7 in computer system servicing as a specialization subject for ICT in grades 9 and 10. He's a Google certified educator and a Microsoft education ambassador. And currently, he is the school OIC, department head of technology and livelihood education. Today, Teacher Will, Shayan, will be sharing with us the results of his research titled Project Topic, or Technical Assistance Program on ICT-related knowledge. This is a strategy for boosting the confidence level of teachers in digital teaching in the new normal. Kaya, dear mga ka-DepEd at ating mga manonood, let us all welcome Teacher Wilfred de la Cruz. Hello, Teacher Wilfred.
Good morning po, Teacher
Good
Wilfred.
morning.
Kamusta ka na? Okay ka lang ba? Kaya pa ba? Ito ang mga kataga na sigurado akong pupukaw sa ating mga damdamin kapag tayo ay tinanong ng mga ito. Sa gitna ng panahong walang kasiguraduhan, masarap sa pakiramdam na alam mo na ikaw ay may kaagapay at magbibigay ng tapik sa panahon ng iyong pangailangan. Isang tapik na magpapaalala na ikaw ay hindi nag-iisa at ang lahat ng ito ay iyong makakaya. Isang mapagpalang araw po sa ating lahat. I am Wilfred G. de la Cruz from Malolos City High School, Santissima Trinidad, Schools Division of City of Malolos, Region 3, Central Luzon. Today, I will be sharing with you my study, Project Topic, Technical Assistance Program on ICT-related knowledge, a strategy for boosting the confidence level of teachers in digital teaching in the new normal. Because of the pandemic, all of a sudden, everyone is on quarantine and enclosed in the four corners of their houses with the fear and anxieties in the present condition. Napuno ng takot ang mundo at ang mga bagay sa buhay ng bawat isa ay nawalan ng kasiguraduhan. But the education sector is committed to its mandate in providing quality education among the learners even in the midst of pandemic. This transforms the traditional classroom setup for teaching and learning into a digital format. A teaching and learning setup where there is no usual physical teaching and learning, a new method of delivery of the lesson, the new normal in education. Ever since the announcement of the new modalities that the teachers will be utilizing this coming year, various trainings and webinars were launched and participated by eager teachers. Since series of webinars were also provided to the teachers and administrators. Most of these capacity building webinars were provided for free with a very minimal fee. Majority of the topics discussed in the sessions are in the use of multimodal and flexible learning deliveries using information and communication technology platforms both online and offline. This transformed the traditional classroom setup for teaching and learning into digital format. A teaching and learning setup where there is no usual physical teaching and learning approach. A new method of delivery of the lesson, the new normal in the education. Sa kabila ng mga personal na alalahanin ng mga guro para sa kaligtasan ng kanilang pamilya at sa kanilang sarili dulot ng pandemya, isang malaking katanungan din para sa kanila kung paano at sapat ba ang kanilang kakayahan na makapagbigay ng dekalidad na edukasyon sa gitna ng pandemya. The Project Topic or Technical Assistance Program in ICT-related knowledge aims to provide personalized professional trainings and skills development in ICT knowledge. The study primarily aimed to determine the level of confidence of the teachers in teaching with the new normal. The abrupt changes in education system have brought dilemma, But some of the teachers, especially those who are not that familiar in using technology in teaching, those who encountered various problems in shifting to digital education. Ito ay isang masusing paggabay sa ating mga kasamahang guro na nais makasabay sa pagbabagong dala ng hamon ng pandemya. Bitbit ang determinasyon na makapagpatuloy ng kanilang sinumpaang tungkulin at handang tumugon sa anumang pagsubok para sa bata at para sa bayan. With compassion and cooperation, no educators will get left behind on this battle. This study is an attempt to improve and increase the confidence level of the teachers in schools division of City of Malolos in digital teaching with the new normal through the project topic. Specifically, the study will seek to answer the following questions. What is the confidence level of teachers in digital teaching before the implementation of technical assistance program or the ICT knowledge or topic? What is the confidence level of teachers in teaching after implementation of technical assistance program on ICT knowledge or topic? And three, how do teachers integrate ICT knowledge in their distance learning delivery? The study focused on the level of confidence of select teachers in schools division of Malolos who conduct online teaching, modular teaching, and blended teaching approaches. The study has identified those teachers who are having difficulty in adapting ICT-related teaching and at the same have underwent and participated in the project topic. The intervention was delivered and conducted in the first quarter of the school year 2020-2021, covering the months from October to December 2020, observing strict implementation of minimum health protocol from IATF during the conduct of the face-to-face consultation and in the use of the online communication platforms. All trainings and webinars had taken place after school hours or our teachers' hours so that the teacher's responsibility in the school and with the learners have not been compromised. The study has used two instruments to measure the level of confidence of teachers in digital teaching. These instruments were the ICT Confidence Survey, a survey questionnaire for teachers that identified the level of their confidence in information and communication technology, a self-reported questionnaire wherein the participants assess themselves in their level of confidence in using ICT. And as part of the intervention plan, a pre-test questionnaire and a post-test questionnaire was also used. These are assessment materials which identify the prior knowledge and skill of the teachers in ICT before and after the intervention and their improvements after taking the topic. The permission from the SDO Malolos authorities, including school principals, was sought before carrying out this study. Other ethical research practices have considered and implemented, and the study has done in accordance with the ethical requirements of scientific practices and of the law. Prior to the implementation of the technical assistance program in ICT-related knowledge or topic, select teachers in SDO Malolos were given questionnaires about ICT tools and have asked if they are willing to be part of this study. On the process, we have clearly understood na ang mga guro ay willing na matuto at matutunan ang mga bagong paraan ng pagtuturo. Subalit, hindi nila alam kung saan sila magsisimula. And their willingness to participate on this study is just the right way to start it all. After accomplishing the research instrument, which includes the ICT Confidence and Survey and Free-Test Questionnaire, the results were validated, the implementation of the intervention took place. The results have used to identify the type of training to be given to a particular participants, wherein it's a personalized training among the participants. A lot of trainings and webinars have already given to our teachers, pero hindi pa din lahat sa kanila ay kinakaya makasabay sa mga pagbabagong ito. Ang masusing gabay sa ating mga guro ay mahalaga upang mas maunawaan natin ang kanilang pangailangan at maisagawa ng tama batay sa kanilang kakayahan. Ang kanilang mga ang kailangan ng ating mga guro ang kailangan ng mga guro natin ay mga tagatapik. addressing the individual needs of the teachers on this study and to give personalized professional trainings, taga-topic were introduced. Taga-topic is an acronym for Teachers and Non-Teaching Group advocating technical assistance program on ICT-related knowledge. In our division, we have group of training teams who conducted similar trainings, but for this study, only the researcher has conducted and implemented the intervention. The trainings were done in limited face-to-face consultation and most of the time are via online communication tool and personal messages, observing the minimum health protocols in this time of pandemic. The intervention has implemented on different phases or level based on the needs of the participants. Phase A covers the introduction to the information elements and to the basic of a personal computer. The use of Microsoft Office 365, particularly the word processing or MS Word, spreadsheets, and presentation, which took place in 4 sessions once every week. Since this was the beginning part of the training, medyo crucial ang nagisimula. And of course, hindi maiwasan natin na kabahan ng mga participants and some of them are still skeptical in doing the task. Phase B focused on the different communication tools and other social media platforms. They were trained to use these different communication tools in the delivery of their lessons. Since halos lahat ng communication ngayon ay ginagawa na online, mas naging kapaki-pakinabang ang parting ito ng pagkasanay. Mas naging madali sa participants ang gumamit ng online communication tool katulad ng Google Meet and MS Teams. At dahil sa new normal in teaching, hindi lang ito natutunan ng mga guro, rin ang pag-share ng kanilang screen habang nag-present at ang pagbabahagi ng kanilang mga instructional materials online. The last phase of the program is having the ability and confidence of the participants to share the acquired knowledge and skill among their colleagues and learners. The participants are confidently using the ICT tools and applications, utilizing and maximizing its use in teaching and collaborating. This not only proved na nag-gain sila ng confidence because of the training, but also they can now share and multiply the same confidence na nakuha nila sa intervention na to. In our SDO at City of Malolos, we were fortunate that our school's division superintendent, Dr. Norma P. Esteban, and our assistant schools division superintendent, Dr. Leonardo C. Canlas, together with our division information technology officer, Ma'am Giselle Sacha D. De La Cruz, were very supportive in this kind of endeavor. Our division have created a group of training team who have spearheaded different ICT capacity building among the SDO personnel, supervisors, school heads, and teaching and non-teaching staff. So the result of the study prior to the implementation of the intervention of self-assessment questionnaire was asked to accomplish by the participants. After conducting and implementing the intervention, which includes series of trainings and webinars via LAC and FEG, the online survey was given again to the participants and assessed their improvements. The data shows that before the implementation of the topic, the teachers were more confident using text messaging via their cell phones for personal use and least confident in using the video editing tool. On the other hand, the use of social networking sites ranks second as the most familiar and confidently used ICT tools, preferably because we are more engaged into it and has more familiarity on its personal use. However, the use of online communication platforms such as Google Meet, MS Teams, Zoom, together with Microsoft Word, Microsoft Edge, spreadsheets, PowerPoints, and email as the computer use in physical aspects ranks accordingly and show that when it comes to personal use, it was not given appropriate attention. Significantly, after implementing the intervention, the use of Microsoft Edge, Google Chrome as web browsers ranks first for the personal use. This shows that participants now utilizes more of this tool compared before the intervention. They are now more confident to the use of computer beyond its usual function, and they could be able to do basic troubleshooting and installations of applications. Still, the video editing ranks at the least confidently used ICT tools, but this doesn't mean that their performance doesn't improve. Most of them are now capable of creating videos, but still they are more positive in using computer, email, Microsoft Word, text messaging, spreadsheets, PowerPoint, social networking sites, and online communication platforms. On the other hand, the rank of ICT tools for teaching use based on the teacher's confidence, you may see on the data that on the teaching use before the implementation of topic, text messaging ranks first on the ICT tools that teachers use with confidence. So, hindi na po ito nakakapagtaka kasi during the shift of class setup from traditional to face-to-face, there were learners who can't afford to use the online social media platforms due to lack of gadget and internet connection. So it will be more easier to communicate with the learners using the text messaging. The consultation and monitoring of the lessons were done through exchange of text and calls. Similarly, the use of social media during pandemic becomes more relevant. These are now used for communicating with the learners and reaching them out for the reminders and clarifications about the lessons. The use of Teams and Zooms were also ranked high among the others, since it has been used to virtually meet and attend conferences during this pandemic. It was followed with the use of Microsoft Edge, Google Chrome, spreadsheet, email, Microsoft PowerPoint computer, and video editing tool. But after the intervention, the result meaningfully shows that in terms of teaching, the Microsoft Word ranked first. Primarily, this is because the use of ICT tool, the Microsoft Word, is very significant nowadays in making instructional materials for the learners. For example, in making self-learning modules and learning activity sheets. The acquired tips and tricks using this application made them more confident in using Microsoft Word. Surprisingly, the rank of the confidence for the video editing tool significantly increased after the intervention. This shows that the participants can now create their own video lessons for online and blended teaching. Similarly, the use of spreadsheets and PowerPoint applications are now being utilized efficiently in teaching and learning activities. The use of social media networking sites was still on the list as it becomes the most convenient way to connect and communicate with the learners. The use of email was also given emphasis because of its functionality in delivering digital copies of learning materials to the learners. The basic troubleshooting of computers make teachers more efficient in teaching as they utilize their knowledge in addressing the basic problem encountered during online teaching. The online communication platforms such as Google Meet, MS Teams, and Zoom becomes the virtual venues for conferences, meetings, and learnings, and still the use of messaging have been the first response in information dissemination and consultation between the learners and the teachers. Integration of ICT knowledge in their distance learning delivery through Project Topic. So now teachers can create their own PowerPoint presentation with ease and appropriateness to learners. Kung before, they were looking in the net for the available resources to be shared for their learners, now they can make and create their own presentations. Ang sabi nga nila parang ang dati pagka nakikita nila to habang nagtitraining, parang ang hirap sa kanila na mai-apply ito sa kanilang pang-araw-araw na gawain. But right after the intervention, they found out na may mga madali palang paraan para makapag-create ng mga instructional materials. As self-made video lessons are used for blended and online teaching. Uh, if you, Kasi minsan pag sinabi natin video lessons, gagawa tayo ng video lessons para ang laking trabaho na para sa atin. But because of this intervention, mas naintindihan nila na mayroong mas madaling paraan na may mga ibang way, mas na makakapag-create tayo ng video lessons na hindi magiging hassle para sa teachers na nagbaguhan sa paggawa ng mga ganitong instructional materials. Say for example, they only use the Microsoft PowerPoint in creating their video lessons. After designing their slides, they have converted the presentation into a video lesson. And now, teacher can easily create meeting links and can easily share their lessons via different online communication platforms. Uh, mas madali na navigate ni teacher ang ating mga online social media and communication platforms. Hindi tulad dati na pagka may napindot, mas kasama natataranta si teacher ng mga student pagka may bigla lumabas sa screen. But now, they are now able to manage how to navigate across those online platforms and be able to use them appropriately in delivering their lessons. For the conclusion, the use of ICT in teaching is very relevant in today's shift in digital education. Trainings and follow-ups through technical assistance are very important for a teacher who is slowly adjusting and adapting to digital mileage. Personalized trainings will help them to easily understand and apply the use of available ICT tools. So more on a personalized training wherein maibibigay natin yung kinakailangan ni teacher and mas ma-maximize niya ang kanyang oras sa pag-attend sa mga trainings na ito. And most of the teachers are very willing to learn. They want to upgrade their skills but sometimes are skeptical to try because they don't know where to start. And for the recommendations, the school's division office should continue to offer trainings and seminars for the teachers to be well equipped in ICT knowledge. It should cater the specific training needs of the teachers for them to easily adapt and use the knowledge and skills they will get from it. School officials must take into considerations the capacity of their teachers when it comes to the new normal in teaching and must be given appropriate support for the challenges encountered in this time of pandemic. Also, teachers must be provided with appropriate ICT tools and equipment for them to get along with the new trend in teaching, be able to utilize those tools as they deliver their lessons to the learners. The school must provide more personalized and contextualized trainings for the teachers based on their professional development needs. Kailangan malaman din natin kung saan magsisimula si teachers when it comes to ICT training. Kasi baka bibigyan natin siya ng ganito na kabigat, na task, na hindi angkop sa kanyang kakayahan for now. But after the training and appropriate series of training given to them, mas makakaya na niya yung mga darating pang task when it comes to the new normal in teaching. Follow-ups and extended consultation must be given to the teachers after the training. And schools division office and school leaders may tap those teachers who are knowledgeable on ICT or experts in their field and mobilize them in assisting the teachers who are having difficulty in adjusting and adapting with the new normal. So these are the references I've used for this study. And this project topic, the technical assistance that suits your need, making you confidently brave in the challenges of pandemic. Guro para sa guro. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.
Alright, maraming salamat po Sir Will, no? Sa iyong napakagandang action research, no, na nakita ko yung tumatak sa akin yung dulo niya na guro para sa guro, no? Because doon pala sa kanyang action research, siya hindi lamang estudyante niya ang kanyang inaalala, gayon din yung kanyang mga kapwa guro na tulungan sa ICT. Yan, nakakatuwa naman yun, no, na they help each other to upskill, no, their ICT knowledge,
Yes,
no?
tama.
Yan.
Tama.
Tsaka Ma'am Christy, yung word na topic, 'di ba? Pinaliwanag ni Sir na parang tatapikin lamang yung isang guro na ano
Parang kalabit, no?
Oo, no? Yan. Sana lahat tayo ang ating mga kaguruan ay ganun, no? Na alamin natin anong kailangan nila in terms of upskilling and reskilling their competency, no? para lahat tayo ay sabay-sabay na natututo at sabay-sabay po tayo na nag-excel in terms of our teaching profession. Ayan, maraming salamat po Sir Will sa inspiring action research po na ginawa ninyo na Project Tapik. Yan. So, tayo nga po dyan sa ating Facebook Live. Pwede niyo po bang tapikin ang inyong mga kapwa guro? Yan, tapikin niyo po. Yan, tapik. Tapikin po natin. Ayan, di ba Ma'am Christy? Yan. Sige po. Sa atin naman pong susunod na presenter, no? So kung kanina po ang nag-present po ay ating isang public school teacher, yung sunod mga po magpe-present po sa atin ay isa rin po siyang naging public school teacher dati na kung saan ay she was a full-fledged English language and literature grade school and high school teacher for almost 10 years. Yan. So being a research enthusiast, she likes spending her time free time in action research concerning cross-cutting themes in action and basic research. So sa madaling salita, hindi lang siya guro, kundi talaga researcher siya. Yan. So, Doc, our next presenter is also fond of campus journalism and was then the school paper advisor when she had a chance to train potential writers for division, regional, and national conference. Ayan, no? At ngayon nga po, siya ay ating Education Program Specialist 2 ng DepEd Lucena City. Yan. Please all welcome our researcher from Schools Division of Lucena City, Dr. Jennifer Oestar, to present her study, Teachers Continuing Professional Development in the New Normal. Hello po, Ma'am Jennifer.
I will be presenting a completed research entitled Teachers Continuing Professional Development in the New Normal, Groundwork for Monitoring, Evaluation, and Technical Assistance Plan.
Teacher development is a never-ending cycle of learning that begins with initial training and continues for as long as the teacher remains in the profession. They must be guided by the type of professional development to engage in, depending on their needs and career stages. Subalit, ang COVID-19 pandemic ay nagdulot ng pagbabago hindi lamang sa pamamaraan ng pamumuhay, kundi na rin sa paraan ng pag-unlad na profesional ng mga guro. Nagkaroon ng pagtaas ng pangangailangan na mapaunlad ang kakayahan o competency ng mga guro. Ang resulta ng pag-aaral na ito ay naglalayong humanap ng pamamaraan upang higit na masubaybayan ang career development ng mga teachers. As I say, policies and plans are needed in providing interventions to challenges in CPD implementation. Ang konsepto ng pag-aaral na ito ay hango sa researchers' readings on Teachers' Professional Development Framework, mga batas kagaya ng RA 10912, RA 10533 at mga DepEd orders na gaya ng DepEd Order No. 42 Series of 2017 on National Adoption and Implementation of the Philippine Professional Standards for Teachers at ang DepEd Order No. 12 Series of 2020 or Adoption on the Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan. Bilang karagdagan, ilang pag-aaral ang nagpakita na malaking populasyon ng mga guro ang nagsasabi na nararamdaman nila ang kailangan o pangangailangan nila ng mga oportunidad na ma-involve sa mga professional trainings and learnings. And lastly, it is lifted from Sulong Edukalidad's Kite Reform Area on Upskilling and Reskilling of Teachers. Ang pag-aaral na ito ay naglalayong matukoy ang estado ng continuing professional development, gawi, dahilan at mga hamon na nararanasan ng mga guro sa DepEd Lucena City, taong panuruan 2020-2021 sa konteksto ng New Normal. Specifically, the study sought to achieve the following research questions. Una, what are the teacher respondents' PPSD career stages of development? Ikalawa, what are the forms of professional development practices engaged by DepEd Lucena City teachers? Pangatlo, What are the reasons of teachers for continuing professional development? Pang-apat, is there a significant relationship between teachers' career stages of development and their professional development practices? Pang-lima, is there a significant relationship between teachers' career stages and reasons for engaging in continuing professional development? Pang-anim, what are the challenges that hinder teachers' continuing professional development in the new normal? At ang pangpito, what intervention for CPD needs can be developed considering training needs analysis, CPD preferred modality, CPD preferred scheduling, CPD preferred phasing, and CPD monitoring and evaluation. Ang pag-aaral na ito ay ginamitan ng mixed methodology ng quantitative at qualitative approaches para makalap ang datos at ang angkop na analysis. Ang pamamaraan pong ito ay tinatawag na sequential explanatory kung saan pinagsama ang resulta ng survey at interview. Nagkaroon po tayo ng 314 na respondents mula sa 1,699 na mga guro sa 58 schools ng DepEd Lucena City. 10 naman ang nagbigay ng pahintulot na mapalahok sa interview. Ang ethical considerations din po ay isinaalang-alang kagaya ng paghingi ng permiso para sa data gathering, kasunduan sa data privacy at confidentiality ng mga datos. Ang survey ay ginamitan ng statistical na mga formula kagaya ng weighted mean, chi-square, at frequency percentage, samantalang ang interview ay ginamitan ng thematic analysis. Para sa unang tanong, ang mga guro na nagsagot sa survey ay nasa proficient or mahusay na antas. Makikita sa slide na ito ang pagkakasunod-sunod ng mga domains ng teachers' career stages. Ang tool na ginamit ay mula sa DepEd Order No. 42 Series of 2017 na may 7 domains sa 37 strands. Sila ay may pinakamataas na sagot sa Personal Growth and Professional Development domain, samantalang may pinakamababang resulta naman sa domain ng Diversity of Learners. Pagdating naman sa interview, we arrive at Team 1. Teachers' assessment of their career stages with Sub-Team 1. Certainty of their career stages, and Sub-Team 2, uncertainty of their career stages. Ipinapakita lamang nito na may mga guro na aware sa kanilang career stage, samantalang may ilan ding gurong hindi sigurado kung saan sila kabilang. Para sa ikalawang tanong, ang slide ay nagpapakita ng pagkakasunod-sunod ng mga gawain na pinakang sinasalihan ng mga guro. Ang survey ay hango sa RA 10912 na may 6 na variables at 4 na indicators bawat isa. Sinasabi na ang mga guro ay may moderate extent of participation sa iba't ibang mga gawaing ito. Sila ay may pinakamababang resulta sa formal learning kagaya ng pag-i-enroll sa graduate schooling, master's, doctorate at diploma programs, subalit mataas ang resulta sa mga online learning activities kagaya ng pagdalo sa mga webinars at virtual programs. Ang pagtaas ng bilang ng mga guro na nawiwili sa online learning activities ay dahil sa restriction sa face-to-face session dulot ng COVID-19 pandemic. Qualitatively, we arrive at Team number 2, participation to online LAC sessions as CPD activity with Sub-Team number 3, conduct of online LAC session, and Sub-Team number 4, impact of online trainings to self and others. Ipinapakita lamang na LAC session or Learning Action Cell ang pinakakongkretong pamamaraan ng mga guro upang mapaunlad ang kanilang competency. Sa ikatlong tanong, ano nga ba ang dahilan ng mga guro kung bakit sila lumalahok sa mga continuing professional development activities? Nanguna ang improvement ng teaching and learning at panghuli naman ang promotion. Ipinapakita ng resulta ng survey na ang pagpapaunlad ng pagtuturo at pagkatuto ang kanilang priority. Ito ay sinang-ayunan ng thematic analysis ng interview kung saan lumabas ang team number 3 or inclination to learn for self-fulfillment with 2 sub-teams. Sub-team number 5, teacher's aspiration, and sub-team number 6, desire to enhance qualification. For question number 4, sa paggamit ng chi-square, natukoy natin na ang p-value ay mas mababa sa significance level, kaya napatunayan na mayroong significant relationship ang career stages at professional development practices ng mga guro. Para naman sa question number 5, napatunayan rin na may significant relationship o kaugnayan ang career stages and reasons for engaging in professional development activities. For question number 6, here is the summary of the challenges that hinder CPD practices in the new normal. The items were lifted from the readings on the study of Gomba and Kedibone 2018 with 6 variables and 4 indicators each. Teachers agree that the first 3 challenges usually encountered were existing pandemic situation, financial constraints, and time constraints. However, they disagree that employer and family support, qualification standards, and interests of teachers hinder them from participating in CPD activities.
We have team number 4, experiences where challenges are missed. We also have sub-team number 7, inability to focus due to urgency of tasks over time. Sub-team 8, inability to attend due to poor line of communication, and sub-team 9, prioritization of tasks as solutions to challenges.
For question number 6, here is the summary of the challenges that hinder CPD practices in the new normal. The items were lifted from the readings on the study of Gomba and Kedibone 2018 with 6 variables and 4 indicators each. Teachers agree that the first 3 challenges usually encountered were existing pandemic situation, financial constraints, and time constraints. However, they disagree that employer and family support, qualification standards, and interests of teachers hinder them from participating in CPD activities. Qualitatively, we have team number 5, preference of activities on the improvement of teaching and learning. It has sub-team number 10, teaching and learning topics suited to the new normal. Ang ilan sa mga karagdagang extracted responses ng mga na-interview ay patungkol sa new tools on how to assess learners in this time of pandemic. Ang ilan naman ay nagpatungkol sa best practices and strategies on teaching with students having diverse needs in varied modalities in the new normal. Ipinakita rin sa question number 7 ang preferred modality or delivery of CPD activities. Interactive distance learning and computer-based or virtual training have the highest preferences, while face-to-face instructor-led has the least, since the data gathering were done on the onset of pandemic and restriction of movement was present. Naipaliwanag rin sa interview na ang mga guro ay mas prefer na umattend sa mga virtual activities nowadays. It was seen on sub-team number 11, resorting to online activities for safety purposes.
Sa preferred facing for professional development activities, kombinasyon ng self-face o sariling oras sa time or scheduled o may takdang oras ang mas gusto nila.
Qualitatively, we have sub-team number 12, comparing self-face and time or scheduled activities. Ilan sa mga extracted responses from the interview, prefer ko yung sarili kong oras pero maganda rin ang may schedule, especially kapag group activities. Sabi naman ng isa, both kailangan kasi depende yan sa purpose. May mga activities na pwedeng solohan, may dapat grupuhan. Ang slide na ito naman ay nagpapakita ng preferred monitoring and evaluation for possible technical assistance. This reveals that teachers wanted a quarterly-based monitoring and evaluation of their CPD activities. We have team number 6, monitoring and evaluation. as well as technical assistance from SDO Lucena City with Subteam Number 13, SDO Lucena City's assistance through information dissemination, and Subteam Number 13, tracing the impact of CPD to teachers. Ang resulta ng quantitative at qualitative data ay magkaugnay in terms of variables and themes. Subalit ang interview na bahagi ng qualitative data ang nagbigay ng mas malalim na discussion ng aktwal na senaryo at karanasan ng mga respondents. May ilang konsepto na nabigyang diin sa qualitative part, kagaya na lamang ng mga solusyon na kanilang ginagawa para mapagtagumpayan ang mga hamon ng new normal. The following recommendations were drawn. Para sa mga guro, number 1, in terms of PPST career stages, teachers must engage themselves on quality-assured activities that could further enhance their knowledge and skills on Domain 6, Diversity of Learners, since it has the lowest WAM. Number 2, para pa rin sa mga guro, in terms of different forms of continuing professional development, teachers should pay attention to their least participated CPD activity, just like the formal learning, such as enrollment to graduate schooling, diploma courses, and short programs. Para sa number 3, sa mga guru pa rin, since there is a significant relationship between teachers' career stages and forms of continuing professional development practices, to advance to the next career stage, teachers must increase the extent of their participation to various CPD activities in line with their field of specialization. For the division offices, regional offices, and central office, narito ang ilang rekomendasyon. Since there is a significant relationship between teachers' career stages and reasons for continuing professional development, to advance to the next career stage, teachers must be guided on career pathing on the aspects that they want to focus. Next, based on the findings and conclusions, DepEd offices may also consider the suggested training needs, CPD preferred modalities and phasing, as well as monitoring, evaluation, and provision of technical assistance to school in terms of continuing professional development. Next, DepEd offices shall strengthen the assistance to schools in applying and providing NAEAP or CPD accredited professional development activities for teachers. At para naman sa mga researchers, a call for the next study on the attendance to continuing professional development activities and its impact on teachers' performance is encouraged. As one of the education program specialists of the Monitoring and Evaluation Unit of SDO Lucena City and in coordination with the Human Resource Development Unit, I came up with a meta plan on the attendance of teachers to continuing professional development. Here are some of my realizations that were spelled out in this process. Next slide shows the personal continuing professional development plan for teachers. We have here the objectives. You must ask yourself, what competence will I enhance? Then we also have the methods or strategies. Ask yourself, what professional activity will I undertake to achieve my objectives? Next, resources. What will I do to access resources? Another is the time frame. When do I expect to have accomplished my goals? And our success indicators. What PPST competence would I have enhanced? And what learners' performance would have been improved? Here are the selected references of the study.
Once again, this is Miss Jennifer M. Uestar, Education Program Specialist 2 from SDO Lucena City. Thank you for listening.
Alright! Maraming salamat, Ma'am Jennifer!
Thank you, Ma'am Jennifer. Alam mo, Lawrence, napaka-ganda nung research na yon ni Ma'am Jennifer. Gusto ko lang i-express yung appreciation kasi yung mga researcher na tulad niya na tumitingin kung paano ina-assess ng mga guro yung kanilang sarili. Kailangan kasi mai-level up yan, kumbaga mai-relate sa ating mga kaopisinahan sa Central Office lalo na, no? Para malaman kung anong pangangailangan ng ating mga kaguruan at kung sa ganun, ma-design ng maayos yung mga programa na aangkop sa kanilang mga pangangailangan. At nakakatuwa rin, di ba, Lawrence, kasi sa study niya, pinakita yung willingness ng ating mga kaguruan to improve themselves. Di ba?
Tama kayo dyan.
Pa yung kanilang mga competencies. Ayan, Lawrence. Pero Lawrence, bago ko tawagin yung ating third presenter, gusto ko lang i-remind ulit ang ating mga viewers na to please post your comments or insights, questions sa ating FB comment page or sa ating Padlet wall. Ayan, ipopost pa po natin. And of course, syempre, tatawagin ko na ang ating third presenter, Lawrence. Our third presentation is from a group of researchers from the University of New South Wales in Sydney, Australia, University of Southeastern Philippines-Davao City, Notre Dame University-Cotabato City, and from the Philippines Department of Education. They are Dennis Alonso, Mr. Val Kimno, Ms. Michelle Asha, Ms. Mariel Bayangos, and Mr. Juan Obierna. And on behalf of the researchers, Dr. Dennis Alonso will present the study. He is the program director of the Bachelor of Education of the University of New South Wales, Sydney. His research challenges existing conceptualizations of assessment, evaluation, and teacher education and development, and translates theoretical knowledge into more practical ones to improve teaching practices and student learning. He also engages in multidisciplinary research, including mineral resources management, beach safety for students, and evaluation of large-scale programs. Today, Dr. Alonso will be sharing with us the results of their study on mobile app-based professional learning, the case of providing equal access to data and needs-based professional learning tools for teachers. So this one's for our kaguruan. Everyone, let us welcome Dr. Dennis Alonso. Dr. Dennis, good morning.
Morning. I'll just...
Morning po, sir.
Good morning. Just getting my slide ready. Can you hear me?
Yes, Dr. Dennis.
Good. All right. I'd like to thank the Department of Education for this opportunity that we could present our research. This was conducted last year, and as mentioned, we are 5 in this research, and we have also other people engaged in this, particularly those ICT people. So we developed a mobile-based application for professional learning from the data that we have. I'll start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land in which I work here in Sydney. The land where UNSW located is in the land of Bedigal people. And I'll thank them for sharing their lands with us. And it is our great pleasure to extend our thanks to these original custodians of the land. And our research, we have partners from the Australian Embassy, the Philippines, the Australian Global Community, who provided us the funding that we needed for this project, the UNSW Sydney, where I worked here, and also the Department of Education Central Office, because one of our team member is the PRD chief of the Central Office, Mariel Bayangos, and we are very happy to have always people from the Central Office as part of the research team. Now, this is the entire team that we have, apart from the 5 key research people. We've got also ICT, the mobile app developers. We hired them, and also critical friends from international organizations and universities across Asia and the Pacific to look at the results and the rigor of the research that we have. Now, in a snapshot, what we did was actually to explore what factors could predict teachers' sense of efficacy and use a structural equation model to test various conceptual models, and then convert the factor loadings and beta values, which is quite technical, but I'll go to that later on, and convert that into algorithm for mobile app development. And then we developed this so-called e-check, which stands for Electronic Teacher Sense of Self-Efficacy Checker, which is from the Philippine word i-check mo, which is to assess, to evaluate. And then the mobile application will be used by teachers, and it will generate professional development opportunities for them, recommendations how to improve these various non-cognitive skills. And guided by this outline from the context and to the future actions, I'll be doing the more detailed presentation in the next slides. Now, the project that we have was conceptualized last year when we had the onset of the lockdown, because there's so much disruptions in the learning and teaching community. And also teachers and the principals are actually trying their best to make sure that they are delivering learning and teaching to the best of their ability during the constraint of the context. And we thought we need to support these principals and teachers to make sure that their emotional state, the affective side of learning and teaching, is supported in that space. Because it has been shown that in many studies that it's not necessary that you only have the knowledge and skills, but your attitude and values, the affective domains, your efficacy, your motivations are very critical to execute your tasks as teachers and as principals. And so we look at the Department of Education Developmental Framework with 3 key things there: that every Filipino has access to complete basic education, every graduate is prepared for further education, and the world of work, the quality and also the governance side of education. And we try to look at what factors would really influence the implementation of this Department of Education Developmental Framework in terms of access, quality, and governance. And so we look at how these 3 domains of the framework is enacted in that context, because prior to pandemic, everything is going well in terms of access, in terms of quality, and in terms of governance. But the current context did not allow to do so. And we look at also how equity to access is ensured, and how the quality of education is ensured, and how responsive the governance is during the challenging context. And the bottom line that we really wanted to dig into is how can we support teachers in achieving the outcomes of the Department of Education Developmental Framework. As we've seen from the social media, there's so much complaints, there's so much emotional stresses from the teachers and from the parents and from the students. And we thought if we could support teachers in a more strategic professional development, then at least to some extent we can contribute to the attainment of the Department of Education Developmental Framework in the context of disruption. And so we look at also the Philippine professional standards for teachers. We've got there the 7 domains which you are very familiar with in the Philippines, from content, knowledge, and pedagogy to personal growth and professional development. Now, these are everything about knowledge and skills. The question really is, what influence teachers' practices during this pandemic in the implementation of all the knowledge and skills that they have in relation to these professional standards that we are trying to make sure that teachers should adhere to these standards. Now, there's actually a problem in terms of the PPST that we have not only in the Philippines, but across the globe in terms of how we position teachers in the profession. Now, if you look at the PPST, we see there that teachers are considered as technicians to have all those things that they need to do, the knowledge and the skills. They have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. And the professional standards are written in a more technical ways rather than writing it from the point of view of aspirations. And this is very, very critical. When we look at teaching practices, we will look at teaching competencies, where we always focus on the knowledge and skills. That's always represented in the teaching standards wherever you go. But the affective domain, the efficacy, the motivation, and other non-cognitive skills are barely mentioned, which in our studies, the knowledge and skills of teachers, even how high their knowledge are and how skillful they are in terms of teaching, if they don't use their affective skills to bring those knowledge and skills into reality to help students to learn more effectively, then the teaching effectiveness is actually compromised. This is where the role of affective domain is very, very critical. Now, the question is, what are non-cognitive skills that really matter? Because this is the focus of our study. Now, we look at teacher sense of efficacy, which is highly substantiated in the literature to be really influencing teachers' practices The higher your sense of efficacy, the more confident you are to go inside your classroom, and the more that you are motivated to actually help your individual students. And also the construct of adaptability, which is your capacity to use various strategies to regulate your thoughts, actions, and emotions in a way that you could respond to a disrupted context. And also we look at the perceived autonomy support, how much freedom your principals actually give you to operate within your skills and knowledge. And also very important is the job satisfaction. Your satisfaction with your job influences your teaching skills and also your work well-being. We know in a very disruptive context that we have now, we are all stressed looking at how we could actually improve our practices. And as the two presenters were actually alluding to, it's very challenging at this present time, but your work well-being is very critical to function really effectively, not only in a disruptive context, but during the normal context that we had previously. And another construct that's important for us to account is job stress. If you are really, really stressed with your job, most likely your knowledge and skills will be affected as well. You can't perform whatever things you do if you are really, really stressed, especially if you reach the level of burnout. And so with all of these, positioning the role of non-cognitive skills in the implementation of the Department of Education Developmental Framework, we explore teachers' views, perception, and understanding of the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, and explore how teachers ensure equity and access to and enhance the quality of education. And then the ultimate aim, which I have said earlier, is to develop a mobile app that supports teachers to address their knowledge and skills and attitudes. Now, we used survey design, and we used the self-report using the established tools, as you can see there in the slides, which I don't have time to go into the details of those. And then we administered online survey, and we developed we used structural equation modeling using M+ to analyze our results. We have gathered more than 28,424 responses across 10 divisions in the Philippines. And here's the demographic. We included several covariates, including gender, school type, school level, educational attainment, experiences, disability, and indigeneity as well, to look at if teachers' socio-demographic profiles actually influence their non-cognitive skills to enact the Department of Education Developmental Framework. We are guided by the job demands resources model, where teachers' job performance is actually influenced by their internal and external resources, including the perceived autonomy support, how much their principals trust them actually to deliver learning and teaching activities in the context of pandemic, and of course their internal motivation, including their adaptability, their self-efficacy, their job stress, their burnout, well-being, and also their job satisfaction. And we tested several models, theoretical models, and one model is more parsimonious than the rest of the model, where we look at here, the teacher's sense of self-efficacy is influenced by their adaptability with a very high beta values, and also the work well-being is influencing teachers' adaptability. The perceived autonomy support is influencing teachers' adaptability, and adaptability is influencing job satisfaction and reducing stress. And including well-being, the higher well-being, the lower your job stress is, which is very intuitive if you think about it. And so with that diagram, and that's a very highly statistics, here's the summary of that. So teachers' adaptability is critically important to enhance their self-efficacy and job satisfaction. The more adaptive you are or adaptable you are in your work, given whatever context, the higher your self-efficacy and the higher your job satisfaction is. And your adaptability is influenced by perceived autonomy support and work well-being. So the higher the sense of well-being, the more adaptable you are, and the more trust that your principal gives you, the more adaptive you are in the changing context. And also your work well-being, the higher your perception of your well-being, the better or the higher is your job satisfaction. Now, here's the interesting thing. The lower levels of adaptability, lower level of work well-being, and lower level of perceived autonomy support will lead to job stress. Therefore, with these results, it can show that it's showing that there's lots of things that we need to do in terms of our affective domains, in terms of our adaptability, perceived autonomy support, job satisfaction, and stress if we want to be really effective in whatever context where we are in. Now, the model that we've created actually is supported by previous research, and we look at some covariates if teachers' socio-demographic profiles are actually influencing their level of those various non-cognitive skills. And our data suggests that there's no influence in terms of those covariates. So across the country, we've got a very solid evidence that teachers are in the same level of these non-cognitive skills. And so here's other support to the model: that perceived autonomy support, job satisfaction, and adaptability are influencing teachers' effectiveness in any context where they are operating. And also including job stress and work well-being. These are all well-established research that are supporting the results of our study. Now, we link the results to the professional development, and we've got some issues actually there, because others says that professional development is influenced by gender, age, disability, and access to resources. Resources in particular where we are, the ICT resources where we are currently experiencing in the midst of pandemic, and teachers' access to data as well. Sometimes we use needs-based assessment, but teachers don't have really access to the results of the needs-based analysis. Another one is the challenge how to link the self-assessment to your professional content. We always say evidence-based practice, needs-based professional development, but there's really a challenge. How can we link individual results of self-assessment to professional development activities or content? The second presenter actually has alluded to this, that we need to make sure that, you have to start by self-assessing what skills and knowledge you want to improve. Now, the problem with that is with the available tools, teachers could not access to the results of needs assessment. And we take into consideration in the design of our mobile application. And there's also issues with mandatory professional development, massive professional development, centralized system level, professional development where it's disconnected from teachers' needs and their motivation. And also the current context, there's issues with implementation. Even here in the Facebook Live where we are, we don't really know how many people are actually listening. So there's a challenge in terms of implementation in this current context. And we accounted for all of these issues to proceed to the next phase of our research. So what we did from the results of the structural equation model, we used the algorithm or the beta values to translate those into algorithms to develop the electronic transfer self-efficacy checker. We call it eCheck, which is a mobile application. So we employed 4 ICT people, programmers, to actually help us develop the mobile application. And so here's the finished product, and that's our leaflets actually. The mobile application is already available, but we are not yet broadcasting it for all teachers because we need to turn over it to NAEAP or to the Department of Education Central Office for the formal launching, and that's free for everyone to use. Now, what are the capabilities of this mobile application? It can give you real-time self-assessment of your non-cognitive skills in terms of levels. I'm going to demonstrate that later. It generates real-time results, not only with yourself, but against the division and the region and the entirety or the whole nation in terms of the levels. And it gives you data visualization. So it doesn't give you lots of numbers, but more of data visualizations for you to look at if you're a very visual person. Now, you can filter the data as well for individual against division, individual against region, and individual against national. And this is a very, very important feature of the app because it gives policymakers, the division people, the regional people, and the central office really good and rigorous data to inform their decision, or even to articulate policies in relation to supporting teachers and also improving the teaching profession, particularly the non-cognitive skills. And it generates strategies on how to improve the different constructs. This is the most vital feature of the app, where the results of your self-assessment is directly linked to professional development guidelines, where there are suggested strategies on how to improve your self-efficacy, how to improve your adaptability, how to improve your job satisfaction, how to reduce your stress, depending on the level of your self-assessment, which it took us how many months to figure it out, really, how to link the algorithm into a professional learning guidelines. And so here's the mobile app. So upon signing up, it will ask you various demographics, your profile, and including your indigeneity and disability. And then once you get into, you start the self-assessment process. And for every non-cognitive skills, I'm just demonstrating the teacher's self-efficacy here. It generates your result, that's your individual result. And there's a comparison chart below where that's your level. And then it will show also the level of the division, the region, and the whole nation, or at the national level. So it gives you a really good benchmark in terms of the levels of your different non-cognitive skills. Also, it gives you a summary real time. So we will allow you to use the mobile app once every or monthly to look at if there's an improvement. And it gives summary results for all constructs as well. So it has different levels here. This is my my self-assessment this morning. And it gives a teacher standing against division or population, the comparison chart that I was talking about. And you can actually see, oh, I'm much better than the other. But that's not the why. That's not the purpose that we are having this comparison chart. It gives you a benchmark at which level you are, and it gives you an aspiration to move higher and higher in terms of, improving your non-cognitive skills. And also, as I said, this is the most important part, where the results of your self-assessment is linked to individualized professional development depending on your level. So the strategies that are actually generated here are coded based on your level. So it's differentiated. If you're at the low level, we recommend strategies that are within your level, owing to the notion of zone of proximal development, where we have to work at your level currently and then move to the next level. So as you get higher in terms of your non-cognitive skills, the strategies generated are also differentiated. So it gives you something to try in your classroom. And then once you're comfortable with that, there's another strategy that is suggested linked to your self-assessment results. And so we address gender equity and social inclusion issues. The self-assessment tools for every teacher, regardless of it's user-friendly. And in terms of access to data, you've got the individual and collective data visualization. And also in terms of access to professional development resources, it's practical and contextual. It's there. You don't need any other resources to have access to it. It's just that you're going to download the application once it's available. And it's flexible. You can do it anytime, and you can do it at a regular level. So we look at barriers to participation, and the problem with the professional development that we are actually delivering at the moment is that the flexibility is quite limited. But in this case, you can do it according to your own pace. Now, in terms of limitations, we acknowledge that, for the mobile app to be effective and to really get into the ethos of using it, you need to consider your internet connectivity, of course, phone ownership, but we have mobile application both for iOS and also for Android as well. So 2 mobile applications. we work together. Initially, we wanted to have only Android, but then there's a call to use also iOS to develop. So we developed for iOS as well. And another limitation is the principal's capability, because one of the important construct there is perceived autonomy support, how principals are actually supporting their teachers. And so part of the project is actually to have trainings with the principals in terms of how to support teachers, how to use the mobile application, and how to use the results to make decisions related to supporting teachers. And of course, teachers' motivation as well, if they find the value of the mobile application. But so far, in terms of our pilot testing, in terms of rolling it out with a few teachers, they find it really engaging, and it gives them the real assessment results, real time visualizations, and so on and so forth. So it's connected straight to what they need. And so we are very happy with the pilot test results of the mobile application. Now, we develop also supplementary resources for the application. We have training resources for school heads and teachers to make sure that they understand the whole philosophy of using the application, and to make sure we build their capacity to navigate in the app. And also we develop policy brief emerging from the qualitative results, because there's also qualitative aspect of this study. And we are going to build principals and teachers' capability in using the application. So that's still part of the deliverables that we're going to do in the next few weeks. Now, where to from here? We have finalized the Android and iOS application. We have set up meeting with NAIAPS because we wanted to turn over the mobile application to them for the actual rollout. And also we're going to launch the application across the country soon, because we have extended our contract with the funding agency actually. But overall, we have completed almost the necessary steps for the rolling out of the mobile application. And soon every teacher in the Philippines with mobile phones, you can download the app and you can play around with it, and you can use it for your self-assessment. So it's a work in progress, but we are very, very positive that we could support teachers in building their non-cognitive skills to support their knowledge and skills in terms of teaching, and to make sure that we are implementing the Philippine standards for teachers. And with that, I'll leave you with a thanks. Sorry, I exceeded the 20-minute presentation. Thank you very much.
All right, maraming salamat po, Dr. Dennis Alonso, for a very interesting study, ano? Yeah. Ako talaga kanina parang from the first slide until to the last slide, parang na-excite ako na gamitin yung app din, no? Bilang dating teacher din, gusto ko malaman ano ba yung aking mga non-cognitive skill needs, no? That I wanted to improve. Yan. Grabe, no? Ang ganda nung takbo ng study ni Dr. Dennis. Yes. Yan. Ikaw, Ma'am Christy, anong masasabi mo dun sa present ni Dr. Dennis?
Yes, making the app talagang available, kasi sino ba naman nga yung teachers ang wala pang cellphone, ano? Yung availability ng ganyang tool for them to assess themselves, and yung availability, yung access for diba? Nakalink nga daw kasi, diba, sa parang customized na yung mangyayari na personal development na approach, kung anong kailangan mo. And napaka-innovative.
Sobrang accessible niya, no?
Yes,
Kung ano yung malalaman, ano yung kailangan ng teacher para improve sa kanyang non-cognitive skills, no? Kasi nga naman, di ba, your non-cognitive skills would support your cognitive skills din, no? Para mas ma-improve mo pa yung pagtuturo mo. Ayan, that's very exciting, no? Na talagang ma-deploy siya in the whole country para si teacher matulungan talaga niya din ang sarili niya kung anong kailangan niya. Yeah. Alright. Sige po. Hello po sa ating mga 1,100 plus na viewers sa ating Facebook Live. So kung kayo po ay kakabagong pasok lamang, huwag po kayo mag-alala. You can still participate in our discussion through sharing your insights and questions in our padded wall na nakapin po sa ating comment section. At the same time, pwede rin po kayong comment po sa ating comment section po dyan sa Facebook. Yan. Mamaya po yun ibabasahin po natin at sasagutin po ng ating mga presenters. Ayan. So sa pagkakataong ito po, dahil po ang ating topic ay tungkol sa teaching professional development, atin pong inimbitahan din ang ating pong kapanalig, ang ating kasamahan sa kagawaran ng edukasyon, particularly ang National Educators Academy of the Philippines, na kung saan ay sila ang may mandato on taking good care of the professional development of our teachers. Yan, sige. Alamin natin at pakinggan ano ba ang masasabi ng ating friends from the National Educators Academy of the Philippines. Please all welcome our friends from NEAP, the Senior Education Program Specialist, Ms. Ana Marie Baligod San Diego. Hello po, Ms. Ana.
Hello, good morning. Can I be heard really, really
Yes,
well?
ma'am. Very clear
Okay.
po.
I just would like to go and say, since I am only being given 10 minutes, I'll do this as fast as I can. And as clearly as I can. Of course, if I go to the next slide and you're going to go see, the very first thing that we have to be able to look into is that I'm very excited after listening to the three presenters today because we are on the right track. I mean, DepEd NEAP is actually on the right track. Looking into what happened, well, let's go to the next slide, please. Everything actually came into play because we actually have the implementation of the NEAP transformation last 2019 through the DepEd Order number 11. And this actually mandates NEAP to streamline, of course, professional development, make training activities programmatic, accountable, and of course, be able to effectively link the professional development with the career progression, which is actually being talked about by Ms. Oestar earlier on. And and then at the same time, use our resources really well, and ultimately realize NEAP's mandate of providing the learning and development needs of our teachers and our school leaders. Now, bear in mind, since we're only working with the teachers and the school leaders, this NEAP transformation actually ushered in, of course, these changes in our system in NEAP. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So, in this particular case, we have transformed NEAP in such a way that the interim structure now is very, very different. And we really do have, and we're very, very happy that our NEAP we are closely working with the NEAP right now because of all of these changes. And we have emphasized the fact that NEAP is not just the central office. NEAP is everyone down there too, because we are supposed to be a team and we are supposed to be a family. We cannot be able to go and do this because this is a massive task. You have about almost 900,000 teachers and you have school leaders along with it. And we cannot be able to do this on our own, right? So we really do need the help of our NEAP friends to be with us during this time. And this is something that is actually very exciting for us because all of these things actually came into play already. And we're slowly working on that one. Now, on program transformation, we have basing it from DepEd Order number 1, series of 2021, we have now gone through the idea of all our programs for teachers and school leaders, including those learning service providers, first to be authorized, then their programs be recognized so that we could be able to go see the quality and also the alignment of all this in the standards and of course the priority of our department. That's the very first thing. And going through that we also have to be able to make sure that our own internal programs in NEAP and also in the Department of Education go through the same process of recognition. Okay, so that all of those things, the quality assurance will be there. Okay, next thing, we have also strengthened, or shall we say, develop our professional development information system so that all of the professional development that are being given to our teachers right now will have to be credited. I know that most of the divisions already have their own system, but we would like to go and work things out and see how all of these from recognition going into providing, of course, their own orientation for the things that they need to be able to go do, and then going into what's this registration. Then as they move along in their programs or in their courses, all of those things are going to be rated and things are going to be placed in their own system. So individual teachers will have their own ratings for the programs that they are supposed to be going into. Next one, of course, since these are actually work in progress, we have created, of course, the PD credit system or the banking mechanism, where we have all of these things placed in a certain, of course, shall we say, receptacle where we actually have all of those things together. And then once the system is actually moving and really working, we could be able to go use them and place them really in the system in itself. Next one. Through our learning and development system, which we are working with, of course, with Surge, our friends from Surge right now. Was this, we have already looked into the policy for the learning and development system, and we are doing our best to be able to align all professional development with our career progression, which is actually being discussed right now with BHROD. So we have a very strong link with our sister, shall we say, office, the BHROD, for all of this. And one very good thing right now in NAYAP is that the fact we now provide, since we have seen in most of the studies that are being presented right now, that teachers really need to have their own focus on their specialization. We have offered, of course, scholarship through our friends in the state colleges and universities who have been authorized and their programs recognized for for master's program and PhD programs for our teachers and school leaders. Right now in PNU, we have about 2,820 scholars going through the program. That's, of course, from MA to PhD. Okay, and these covers, of course, our teachers, our school heads, our supervisors, and some of the other school leaders who are there. And then we also have now, what's this, a system with UP. We have an agreement with UP right now for the specialization, for 12 specialization for the master's program that they have. And hopefully we move forward from here. And we are also encouraging our regional counterparts to also recognize the programs that have their SUCs or their state universities and colleges program be recognized, so that they don't need to come over here in Manila or maybe think about internet connectivity, because they already have it there in their own regions, right? I think was just right now, there were orientations that happened with Region 10, and they're having their ongoing discussions with their own SUCs, Region 11, and I think Region 1 is also moving forward. And if we could be able to go have most of our regions talking with their state universities and colleges and having those programs be recognized, it will be easier for our teachers to actually gain their education or their master's programs quite well. And we can have our distinct specializations for them. They won't even go into thinking about going into educational management just to move forward, right? Thinking about making themselves become better teachers in their own specialization. Okay, and it's one good thing in the career progression discussion. We also have remember, there were discussions about expanding teachers from teacher 1 to 3 to making it teachers 1 to 7, which is an ongoing discussion right now, and we hope that it's actually going to come in. We're keeping our fingers crossed, because that way, and then master teachers 1 to 5. Then with that, we don't need to have our teachers go to a different job so that they could be able to get the salary that they want. They don't need to become supervisors. They don't need to become school heads. They just need to stay inside the classroom because they are the best teachers around, and they will get the remuneration that they need to be able to go get because they are the best ones there. And that's what we would like, and that's what we aim to do. Okay, moving to the last one, which is a scholarship and scholarship maximization. What we're trying to go and look at is basically this: the idea of nurturing and shepherding our scholars through all of this, from their orientation, and then during the time they're having their studies, we're looking at creating guidelines for all of these and policies for all this so that we could be able to help our teachers as they go along studying and getting their graduate degrees. That's why we are very, very happy about the discussion that we've had right now from from Sir Sir Mendoza, if I'm not mistaken, and Miss Oster and Mr. Alonso, Dr. Alonso, who actually shared everything. And these are the things that we actually need. These are the things that we actually need. This information right now, it confirms that we are on the right track. Okay, shall we move on to the next slide? I'm just going to go and show you that this is the L&D program. Focus on the ones on the left, because the ones on the right is for the non-teaching and the ones on the left is for the teachers. If you're going to go see, this is the framework that we're using now for the professional development and career progression for quality learning. And we follow, of course, what has been discussed by Ms. Oester, was this from the needs assessment down the line. And I'm very happy about the fact that in this particular case, if that particular app can be used and we could be able to get it real time, that's great. The only thing is, of course, we know that within our system, we have the RPMS, right? The IPCRF that is supposed to be used by our teachers. Now, Ms. OSR actually itemized the things that the teachers need to focus on in their IDPs. And these IDPs really can be used if the teachers will use all of this information, and honestly, sincerely answer all of them so that we can gather the correct data from them and even their principals using the IDPs as their basis for their professional development for the last session inside the school. That would be so great. That would be so great. Okay, so next one po. These are the programs. Can we move to the next slide? Okay, these are the types of programs for teachers now and for school leaders in NAIAP. We have programs for consolidation of practice in the career stages, programs for career progression, and of course, certain special interest programs, hopefully that's actually in the future. But the ones in the middle, if you're going to go and be mindful of that, is the idea of having internal training programs and other PD activities and NAIAP-sponsored degree programs. But look, we also look into having our learning service providers like training training activities or even training arms of different institutions. Once they go and become our learning service providers by being accredited by NAIAP and by DepEd, we can have them as our experts coming in to help us create programs, or they have developed programs and use it for our teachers. And this will cover our teachers, our school heads, and our supervisors, and even our third level officials in the field. This is where we actually work. We create programs, we partner with learning service providers so that our teachers, our school heads, supervisors, and third level officials in the field could be able to have the programs that they need. And we recognize the fact, I would like to emphasize this. When Dr. Alonso mentioned about the affective domain, which we often not focus so much, NAIAP would like to go and say that part of our objective or part of our values in NAIAP is we have to be able to provide a nurturing spirit for them and teach our school heads and our not really just teach, but rather make them feel that they are part of all the system. If they cannot be able to go and have this nurturing spirit, then we cannot be able to provide the things that the teachers would need. Okay, and then we also have to be able to think about excellence in all cases, because we know and we also recognize that our teachers are our own experts in the field, right? So we have to be able to recognize them and provide them the mechanism and system that should be found in their own school and in their own division, so that their expertise can come out in the open and learn from all of them. Okay, and then of course they need to be agile. Okay, they need to be able to go move based on what is supposed to be needed by their kids and by their community. And lastly, the idea of professionalism. I know that most of our teachers actually have done their best to be able to go through all of these challenges in the pandemic, and we salute them. We really salute them. Because without their sacrifices and without their means to be able to go and move forward, I don't think the Department of Education could be able to go and successfully through 2020, right? And these challenges were met by our teachers and our school heads and our school leaders, quite frankly, the best that they can. So with that, what's this? All of these things, we acknowledge them, and we would like to go and say, we agree with the things that you have pointed out, because all of them are already part of the system that we're working on, and even on the policies that we're working on right now. And looking forward to seeing all of these things come into play in the coming days. With that, I just would like to leave you with this. The teachers should be able to go and remember that the most valuable resource that they all have is basically each other, because they have to be able to go and think about this. The formal structure can only give you 10% of your learning, but most of your learnings are usually job embedded or relationship built. So they need to be able to go see and recognize the power that they have within their hands. Because without them collaborating with each other, we only have very limited perspective. They have to go and work together in their own context, in their own needs. And then let's go and provide them the system that they need and the mechanism that they need so that they can work together in their own school and improve the way teaching is happening inside the school. With that, from NAIAP, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much po, Ms. Ana Marie from DepEd National Educators Academy of the Philippines. Maraming salamat po sa pagbahagi po ng inyong insights about the studies na na-present po ni Ms. Jennifer, ni Sir Will, at saka ni Sir Dennis. Yan. Napakaganda na na-share din ng NAIAP, no, that NAIAP is also trying to transform its programs for teacher development, no? Yan. And they are working with other offices and other stakeholders para lang mas matulungan natin ang ating mga kaguruan. Ayan. Sige, Ma'am Christy, meron ba tayong mga insights po dyan?
Yes, Lawrence, ito, tinitignan ko na sa ating Padlet po, no? Meron tayong insight para sa lahat. Anonymous siya. Congratulations to all researchers. Teacher support being a critical aspect of basic education learning continuity. I hope that the L&D programs will be based on the results and recommendation of these research studies. The research studies are all useful in guiding our human resource development program implementers in designing the appropriate learning and development programs in the new normal. Yan yung sinasabi natin kanina. Kailangan talaga natin itong mga research na ito, itong mga studies na to, no? Para lalong ma-strategize yung ating mga programs, yung ating mga policies, at maging guide ng ating mga decision makers sa talagang kailangan ng ating mga teachers.
Yes, tama ka dyan, Ate Christine, no? Napakaganda ng insight niya na nabahagi doon sa ating Padlet, no? Yan, in terms of their continuing professional development, no? Yan. Okay, sige po. As ngayon naman po sa pagkakataong ito, tayo ay dadako na sa tinatawag nating Open Forum. Yan, Ma'am Christy, paano ba natin gagawin ng Open Forum?
For the Open Forum, ayan, I invite natin ang ating mga presenters.
Yan po.
I-accommodate natin ang ating mga questions.
Yes, pwede po natin i-on ang ating mga camera at ang ating pong microphone para po makikita rin po tayo, no, pag tinanong po natin yung mga tanong para po sa inyo. Yan. So ngayon po, present po ang ating presenter from DepEd Lucena City, si Ma'am Jennifer Wistar. From DepEd Malolos City, si Sir Wilfred de la Cruz. And of course, ang ating presenter from the University of New South Wales, Sydney, Dr. Dennis Alonso. Ayan. Hello po, good morning po sa ating lahat. At para po sa ating mga manonood, pwede pa po kayong mag-type ng inyong questions sa ating Facebook comment section at saka sa ating Padlet. Yan. Sige po. Okay. So ang mga naipon po nating question dito, una po ay para kay Sir Will. Yan, kay Teacher Will. May question po dito. Sinulat po niya sa Padlet to, siya po ay anonymous. Sabi niya I agree po na customized and personalized training for teachers. Given this premise, what do you think ang best training modality for teachers? Yung webinars ba versus LAC, national or school-based or division-based training?
Okay, so thank you, Sir Lau, for that question. And once again, good morning po sa ating lahat. That question is actually very timely. For me po, mas mainam po yung school-based training via LAC kasi mas identified po natin yung specific needs ni teacher. Minsan po kasi yung mga webinars, lalo yung mga hands-on ay mahirap sundan para sa isang teacher na nagsisimula pa lamang matuto ng isang ICT tool. May mga webinars din po na masyadong advanced para kay teacher, kaya kung school-based po ito, mas madali ang follow-up at ang continuity ng pagsasanay. Though right now, medyo nalilimit tayo ng pandemic to mobilize those training and to do that on our school, but I'm sure we could work it out because of our utmost compassion and commitment to our profession. Thank you po.
Ayan, maraming salamat po, Sir Will. No? So, based nga naman din sa kanyang karanasan bilang teacher at bilang taga-tapik din ng kanyang kapwa guro, no? Mas prefer talaga nila yung school-based LAC session. That's why maaari pa natin paigtingin ang ating learning action cells o yung ating mga small learning circles, no, in terms of our professional development. Ayan, maraming salamat po, Sir Will. Baka po meron kayong pa-jacket dyan, Kuya Will. Sige po, dako naman po tayo ng question para kay Ma'am Jennifer Owistar ng Region 4A. Yan, very interesting daw po ang inyong findings because very rich po ang inyong data in terms of their continuing professional development preference, no? So ang tanong po dito ay, ano daw po yung next steps after gathering your baseline data about their continuing professional development?
Okay, so thank you so much po for that question, and thank you so much po for this opportunity. So, ang next step po after I have gathered the data, of course, I'm into polishing a meta plan, that is monitoring, evaluation, and technical assistance plan. So, to further elaborate, we must help teachers to have the awareness that they must ask themselves if there is really a need to attend to all professional development activities. So they may use needs analysis before deciding what type of activity to engage in, since there are lots of CPD activities during the new normal. So additionally po, so when attending to activities, teachers may quality assure the training if these are suited for them. Katulad po nung sinabi ni Ma'am from the NEA, so they must scrutinize what is really needed based on their career stages. Then also, they may also ask if those activities such as webinars, online courses, and others are worth of their trust time. So on the part naman po, part of the meta plan, attendees and facilitators may also consider the modality and pacing based po dun sa data na nag-gather ko by conducting survey, so the problems or the conflicts and schedule and the availability of those trainings can be solved right away. So additionally po, teachers may also review status of the trainings. They must ask if the training providers are accredited by DepEd or DEAP, and if not yet, so probably the division offices, regional offices, as well as the central office may assist them. So consider the guidelines on the required training hours and engagement for CPD unit grant. So if not accredited, yes po, pwede po tayong mag-provide na assistance on how those training providers may be recognized. So in the context po, additionally, ng Division Monitoring and Evaluation Unit, so we can have the assistance on either virtual or on-site monitoring on the input and possible technical assistance pa kung sakali po may mga elements of the training na kailangan pong i-align dun sa mga objectives at hinihingi ng ating career stages ng teachers. So those are some of the plans po in our division, in division of Lucena City. So we are polishing different monitoring tools that could really help and assist teachers on their different professional career stages, and hopefully not just to teachers, we could extend this to non-teaching personnel as well in the Department of Education. So that would be all. Thank you so much.
Ayan, maraming salamat Ma'am Jennifer, no. So nakita ko talaga dun sa sagot mo that you are really interested to provide the findings of your study to the specific program owners ng professional development sa Schools Division Office, no. So hopefully talaga ay magamit yung findings ng study mo ng particular office on providing the continuing professional development programs. Ayan, sige po. No? At pagpatuloy po natin yung pag-gather natin ng ganong data para po mas may basihan ang ating pag-conduct ng mga pa-training, di ba, sa ating mga teachers. Yan, di ba? Oo, yan. And ngayon naman, para naman po sa question para kay Sir Dennis. And I hope Sir Dennis nandiyan po kayo, no? Hello po, sir. Yan. Very interesting po yung naging question din po sa atin, no? Because this is your study is also rich on using different variables in constructing your model to be used in the study. Ano? The question here po ay, what other variables was you considered but were ultimately ruled out in constructing the model?
All right. Overall, we included 13 variables, including teacher buoyancy, mastery goal. There's sorry, I forgot the other one. Teachers' sense of collective efficacy, like how they perceive in terms of their efficacy as a group within school. And also the personal best theory, we included those one as well, but they are not predicting teacher self-efficacy and job satisfaction and reducing stress. So after trying, I think we tried 10 theoretical models, we come up with this model that we presented as the most parsimonious model supported by the goodness of fit indicators. And so we reduce the final model into the one that we presented, where work well-being, perceived autonomy support, adaptability, job satisfaction, job stress, and self-efficacy. So only these 5 or 6 constructs after a series of analysis we've conducted.
Okay, thank you very much po, no, Sir Dr. Dennis, for your answer. Meron lang dito follow-up question, no, because in your study, in your model, you use the non-cognitive skills or domain, no, of the teachers. What is the complement of our non-cognitive domain to the cognitive domain of our teachers' professional competencies, rather?
Well, this is where we need to expand the theory or the knowledge in terms of how we define teaching effectiveness. And we always say in the Philippines, the competencies. And if you're going to look at the definition of competencies, that is knowledge, skills, attitude, and values. The attitude and values are actually the affective domains. But if you go back to the PPST, these are not alluded to. It's about the technical skills that we have. You do this X, Y, and Z. But a number of studies, a wide range of evidence based from psychological and socio-cultural, theories and research. Your knowledge and skills can only be enacted if your affective skills are in place, meaning you are highly motivated, you have the confidence, you have the efficacy, you are adaptable, you feel really well during that day. So there's a huge influence from non-cognitive skills affecting your knowledge and skills. Yeah. We can't really talk about competencies, teacher competencies, if we don't put affective domains at the center of the conversation around knowledge and skills. So that puts the missing piece in terms of how we conceptualize teaching effectiveness, really looking into the non-cognitive skills.
Yeah, no. Ang ganda ng sinabi ni Sir Dennis na that at the center of teacher effectiveness nga, no, that we need to consider ano yung well-being din talaga ng mga teachers, no. Yan. Well, para din sa mga estudyante din natin, no, parang hindi lang talaga dapat na pinitutuunan natin ng pansin yung cognitive development nila, but at the same time yung kanilang holistic development, no, yung kanilang character development, yung kanilang mental health and well-being din, di ba? Yan. So, napakagandang compliment nga talaga yun na mabigyan pansin din ang affective domain aside sa mga cognitive domain. Ayan. Sa tingin niyo po, Sir Dennis, what do you think yung mga pwedeng training na ibigay po sa mga teachers in terms of improving their affective domain?
Alright. Nasa application yun namin. So once teachers will use the application, and then it will generate their levels. Say, for example, the level of their adaptability. That's around, the scale there is 1 to 7. Say the average, of all the 9 indicators of adaptability, say their average is 4.7 to 1. That level is directly linked to specific strategies that they could try in their classroom. So at each level, we identified what strategies you're going to do to improve your adaptability and at the same time to increase your self-efficacy. So I'm not going to discuss all those strategies because there's so many, and I will leave it to teachers once they have the application, mobile application, so that they could see it, that their results are automatically linked to their professional development needs.
Apo. Thank you very much, Sir Dennis. I think excited din si Sir Will na gamitin din yung inyong app. Kaya tanungin naman natin si Sir Will. Sir Will, sa tingin mo ba, ano yung mga non-cognitive domain mo as a teacher that sa panahon ngayon that you wanted to improve? Para ano yung mga non-cognitive or ano yung mga affective domain mo as a teacher that you wanted to improve? Meron ka bang parang naiisip?
Yes, sir. Of course, with this new normal in teaching, ang dami nating mga bagay na pwedeng ma-improve sa ating sarili as part being a teacher, and of course in our profession. So sa right now, yung pagiging adaptability natin with the changes brought by this pandemic ay isa sa malaking bagay na ginagawa ng mga ating kaguruan na paunti-unti ay sinasanay natin ating mga sarili dito sa mga pagbabago ito, kasi we don't know kung kailan magbabalik pa ba yung nakasanayan nating setup in education. And of course, dito sa panahon natin yan, talaga ang kailangan natin with one another magiging compassionate and understanding with each other, kasi lahat naman tayo nag-a-adjust. Sabi natin kahit naka 1 year na tong pandemic, when it comes to our adjustments sa education, malaki pa rin ang kailangan natin gawin, and those are the things na kailangan natin i-workout pa.
Yan. Okay, maraming salamat Kuya Will. Sir Will, sa iyong share na insight, no? Si Ma'am Jennifer naman, tanongin natin, bilang si Ma'am Jennifer ay nakikipagtrabaho directly sa ating pong mga teachers dyan sa Division of Lucena. Ma'am Jennifer, kayo po ba, ano po yung inyong observations on the teachers' non-cognitive skills or needs, no? Sa tingin po ninyo, ano po yung mga napapansin ninyo na kailangan mapagtuunan ng pansin na kanilang mga non-cognitive skills?
So much for once again. So as education program specialist in our division, so mostly teachers are very hardworking. More of the cognitive side are being used. But then when it comes to their non-cognitive skills, more of the affective side, more of the endurance, more of the things they see, the positivity, because if there's positivity, everything will follow. And also, I want to focus on the skills, not just the affective. For example, we have lots of talented teachers here in DepEd Lucena City. Others are working with, they are good singers, they are good dancers, and even some are painters. So if they would also focus on that, as other sides, after teaching, I could say it can also promote wellness, not just mostly of their work. So after work, probably they could have that well-being. So they must focus also on that non-cognitive aspects of being a teacher. So that would be all.
Ayan, maraming salamat Ma'am Jennifer, no. Napakaganda ng sinabi niyo na kailangan din talagang bigyan pansin yung well-being at saka yung wellness ng mga teachers. That's why maaari talaga dapat na aside sa bigyan lagi natin sila ng training or ng mga webinars, but at the same time, let us give them the space to breathe, no, the space to reflect on their strengths, on their needs for improvement, no, both cognitive and non-cognitive domain. Ayan, no? So yun. Muli po maraming salamat po sa pag-present po ng inyong mga studies. Kung wala po ito, hindi po natin malalaman yung complementation ng ating development ng ating cognitive skills at saka mga non-cognitive skills natin ng ating mga kaguruan para mas mapaghusay pa nila ang kanilang pagtuturo. Because yung pagtuturo nga nila ay para sa bata at the same time, syempre, para sa bayan. Ayan. Sige, Ma'am Christy, baka meron ka pa idadagdag dyan.
Gusto ko lang basahin itong mga na-share pa ng mga insights. Bukod sa maraming commendations para sa ating tatlong presenters, meron merong naka-highlight dito for Sir Will. Sabi niya, sa present ni Sir Will, that is very timely and very relevant ang tagatapik in these trying and hopeful times. Totoo yan, ano? And of course, meron ding message sa ating Padlet for Dr. Arestar. Your research is very timely and relevant, and we hope to conduct same study on our division, focusing on training needs, because that could also be a great basis for a program on our division. And the rest of the insights shared na nakapost sa ating Padlet and FB comments are all commending our researchers sa kanilang mga na-share. Kasi talagang kitang-kita yung interrelationship, yung connection nila sa isa't isa. Kaya Lawrence, meron ka pa bang idadagdag? Baka may questions ka pang
Ay, yes po, Ate Christy. Kasi po, di ba kanina, sa start po ng ating research o'clock, pinasagutan po natin sa ating madlang kaguruan, ano ba ang kanilang bagong karanasan bilang guro sa distance learning. So kung makikita niyo po sa ating screen, sige po, antayin po natin siya ma-flash.
Yes.
Makikita po natin sa ating screen, ayan, lumabas na siya. Makikita po natin na based po sa ating word cloud, ang kanilang mga bagong karanasan, although challenging, naging exciting din daw ang distance learning ayon sa ating mga kaguruan. May mga lumalabas na mga words na adventure. So baka merong bagong adventure na silang na-discover in the distance learning. Although mahirap, may difficulties, inspiring pa din, exciting. Tapos meron sinasabi na coming out of the comfort zone. Yan. I think that's also interesting to know, no? Yung coming out of your comfort zone as a teacher. Kumbaga, itatry mo talaga ano pa yung pwede mong magawa bilang teacher. Also, meron pa nagbanggit po dito na, distribution ng modules. Baka bagong teacher siya na naging part siya ng DepEd and nag-distribute ng module. New teaching methodologies. Yan, no? New teaching methods na ginagamit. Ayan, nakakapagod pero exciting. Yun. Mahirap pero kinakaya. Yan, no? Yan. Sige, maraming salamat po sa ating mga kaguruan na nag-participate sa ating pa-Mentimeter. So, I hope po sa susunod pong research o'clock ay maka-join pa rin po kayo para sa ating discussion dito. Okay. Sige po. Yan. So with that po, maraming salamat din po sa mga nagbigay po ng tanong nila sa ating Padlet at sa comment section. Hindi lang po namin matatanong po lahat ng tanong sa oras na to. But sinisig po sagutin niya ng ating mga researchers doon po sa Padlet. Ayan. So ngayon naman po, dadako na tayo sa Ma'am Christy.
Sa ating synthesis, syempre, no? Para sa ating synthesis and closing, malungkot man, pero kailangan talaga nating tapusin. We have with us Sir Emil John C. Santillas, our Assistant Chief. Siya po ang Assistant Chief ng Policy Research and Development Division para sa ating synthesis. Sir Emil, good morning.
Yan, magandang umaga, Miss Christy and Lawrence. Maraming salamat. Una sa lahat, maraming salamat sa ating mga speakers ngayong umaga. Sila Sir Will, Ma'am Jennifer, and Sir Dennis. Maraming salamat po for sharing your studies with us. Especially ngayon, no? Siguro tamang-tama before ako magsimula, i-reiterate ko lang din yung sinabi ni ng ating reactor na si Ma'am Anna Marie from DepEd NAYAP, no? Na saludo po sa mga teachers natin who played really a crucial role, especially now during the pandemic, to ensure learning continuity, no? And tamang-tama po kasi ngayon po ay sineselebrate natin yung Teachers Month, of course, no? So happy Teachers Month in 5 days, in 6 days. I think it's Teachers Day. So hopefully po ay you take time also to rest during this time and to of course reflect on how we are as a teacher. Ayan, sige po. Isa-emphasize ko lang po yung mga napag-usapan and madami po tayong reflections na nakita o naisip na pag-isipan habang nakikinig. I'm looking at the Facebook comments. We are with different teachers from across the country, no? So iba't ibang schools ang nakikinig sa atin ngayon. So ito po yung mga ibang mga reflections po na napag-isipan, napagtanto din po ngayong umaga. Ayan, so katulad po ng dati, no, gumagawa po ako ng acronym para po mas maintindihan ang mga napag-usapan ngayong umaga. So for this morning, syempre babalik po tayo sa ating mga kaguruan. So ang ating acronym ngayong umaga ay guro. Ayan. Pwede bang i-flash natin ang guro? Ayan. So magsimula po tayo sa letter G, which means gather. Ayan. So English po yung meaning ng guro. So when we say G, ang naisip ko po yung gather. And hindi lang po ito gathering ng data. No, mahalaga po ang pag-gather ng data, mahalaga po ang pag-gather ng mga evidence natin para matugunan ang ating pangangailangan, mga training needs natin. Pero medyo tumatak po sa akin yung sinabi ni yung umpisa kanina ni Sir Will, no, na when we say gather, it's as simple as kumusta ka. Yung experiences natin mahalaga, doon nagsisimula pag tinapik mo ang iyong kasamahang guro or mga kagurugan natin, kamusta ka, from there we can gather the rich data kung ano yung nararanasan nila ngayon. So I hope na after this, we're also able to start to punta natin mga teachers natin, mga co-teachers natin, or yung mga guro natin, kung makakilala tayong guro sa mga nanonood sa atin, na kumustahin. Kasi from there magsisimula ang conversation. Ayun. And syempre, mas systematic, eventually magiging mas systematic, and we gather data, we gather evidence to be able to, letter U, understand. And ito yung nagustuhan ko sa mga presentation natin because they're able to understand, una, naintindihan nila ang ating mga kaguruan. And of course, kagaya ng e-check, no, naintindihan yung sarili. Nasubukan ko po yung e-check, na-try ko pong magsagot sa e-check before, and meron talagang part na napapaisip ako, ito ba talaga ay nangyayari sa akin? Ito ba talaga ay nagagawa ko? And it pays really to be reflective of our action and understand ourselves as professionals, no? And at the same time, understand the context that we are in. Yun naman din ang ginawa ni Ma'am Jennifer sa kanilang study, na in-understand, nilapat nila sa current condition natin. Mahirap yung pandemic. Lahat tayo may pinagdaanan, pero ginagawa natin ng paraan. And it's important to understand our context, understand ourselves. Kasi mahalaga yun para sa sarili natin, mahalaga yun para sa ating policy makers, para mas makabuo ng mga polisiya, sa mga minention din kanina nila Ma'am Anna Marino, na mas nabuo nila yung mga polisiya at mga programa ng departamento because they're able to understand the context by gathering their data and evidence. Ayan. And of course, no, pag naintindihan natin ito, we are able to recalibrate. Ayan. So makakapag-isip tayo ng mga strategies. Paano natin gagawin to ng mas maayos? Paano natin gagawin to ng mas efficient, taking into consideration yung naintindihan natin sa konteksto natin. So mahalaga po iyon, yung ma-steer natin to the right direction yung ating mga strategies to adapt. Ayan, mahalagang salita, to adapt. So it's very important that we recalibrate as well. Both syempre dalawa, it's a two-way street, no? The systems that we are able to recalibrate them, and also our mindsets. We're able to recalibrate na parang this is the pandemic, and now we are able to shift towards a new way of training. Ayan. and new way of upskilling and reskilling ourselves during the pandemic. Ayan. So mahalaga po iyon. And of course, mahalaga pagkatapos nating mag-recalibrate. Ayan, when we are recalibrating, mahalaga that we open up. Very important po iyon. Very important na we open ourselves up to new experiences. So we have these systems, we have these platforms, no? And it really takes ourselves to open up, to be open to these new platforms, new systems, and that will help us. And so, tulong-tulong po tayo. What I loved about this presentation or this episode of Research O'Clock, kung napansin po natin, ay we are able to gather different governance levels and partners. We have a teacher from a school, we have a specialist from the SDO, we have from a representative from the academe, Sir Dennis, and we have DepEd, the policymaker. I'm quite sure ang ating mga regional, kasama din natin sa pagbuo ng ating episode na ito, yung ating regional research coordinators, no, at ating mga kasamahan sa region. So tulong-tulong po. Sabi kanina ni Sir Will, I think Sir Will nagsabi nito na guro sa guro. Guro para sa guro. And most of us are teachers in our own way. Of course, there are teachers talaga sa classrooms. But lahat tayo teachers in our own way. So, tawag doon, kumustahin natin ang isa't isa. We're able to gather. Balik po tayo sa pag-gather. Hindi lang siya gather na pag-collecta, no? Gather means pagtitipon. And when we communicate with each other, if we are able to express ourselves, express our fears, our joys, our wins, and our losses, we are able to re-strategize and develop a new path for everyone. So maraming salamat po sa ating mga speakers, sa ating mga interpreters sa umagang ito, and of course sa inyo, sa aming mga viewers ngayong umaga. Maraming salamat, and I hope that you are able to be inspired by the studies and be able to adapt the studies as well in your respective spaces or develop new studies for our teachers. Maraming salamat po, and thank you for staying with us in the last 2 hours. Thank you at Miss Christy and Lau. Back to you.
Thank you.
Maraming salamat, Sir Emil.
Thank you, Sir Emil. Ayan, napakaganda na naman ang iniwanang pag-encapsulate ni Sir Emil para sa ating episode. Guro. Gather, understand, recalibrate, and open up. Ayan. So, Lawrence, ipapaalala lang natin sa ating mga viewers, sa ating pong mga tagapanood, tagapakinig, in case you missed our previous virtual Research O'Clock episodes, huwag po kayong mag-alala dahil nakakompile po yan sa ating playlist, sa ating DepEd Philippines FB and YouTube pages. Meron po tayong playlist where you can watch, rewatch our episodes, previous episodes, at ito rin pong episode natin ng ito ay ma-upload agad-agad. Kaya, Lawrence, shout out tayo at pasasalamat sa ating mga FSL interpreters, Sir Billy, Miss Pauline, and Miss Clarice. Maraming salamat po sa pagsama nyo sa atin. At syempre, gusto rin naming i-shout out, gusto rin naming pa-shout out para sa ating mga research coordinators sa ating regions and divisions, dahil katulong po namin sila sa paghahanap ng ating mga birth research para ma-present po sa ating virtual Research O'Clock. Maraming salamat po sa inyong mga suporta. And Lawrence?
Yeah, and of course, pasalamatan din natin, Ma'am Christy, si Dr. Dennis Alonso, ang ating presenter, si Ma'am Jennifer Owestar, at saka si Sir Wilfred de la Cruz. No? Kung hindi dahil sa kanilang research, wala tayong maipapakita dito at hindi natin matututunan yung talagang nangyari during the pandemic season na in terms of their professional development programs.
Maraming salamat po sa inyo.
Maraming salamat po. No? Yan. Also po, in our Research O'Clock, we value your thoughtful feedback on today's forum. So, naka-flash po sa ating screen ang QR at saka yung link po para po sa ating feedback. So, kung may feedback po kayo tungkol po sa ating forum, para mas ma-improve din pa po natin ito, pwede po kayong magsagot nito. Nakapin din po ito sa ating comment section na pwede nyo pong mabalikan. No? So anytime po pwede nyo pong mabalikan itong ating Facebook Live, and then sagutan na rin po natin yung ating feedback. Yan. And lastly nga po talaga, in case you missed our previous Research O'Clock, don't worry, pwede nyo po rin pong panoorin sa ating DepEd Facebook page at saka sa ating YouTube channel. And once again po, no, we hope to see you again in our next session on October 13, 2001, which we will be discussing the efforts of our community for learning continuity. Ayan. So that's our last episode na ng ating Research O'Clock. Shoutout ko din po pala yung aking mga naging guro noon, simula noon, at saka mga naging katrabaho ko pong guro sa pagtuturo. Happy Teachers Month po sa inyo. Kayo, Ma'am Christy.
Siyempre, binabati natin lahat ang ating mga kagaruan ng Happy Teachers
Happy
Month.
Teachers Month. Yan. So muli po, ako po si Lawrence.
At ako naman po si Christy. And we are now signing
off. Maraming salamat po at see you sa October 13. Bye!
Bye!
Alright, happy lunch!
Ayan, ang galing. Ate Christy, may fans club ka, nakita mo.
Maraming salamat po kay Ma'am Marie, Sir Dennis, thank you po. Sir Wilfred.